Sit rep as follows.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
What is gray state?
Of every enemy of the state!
Gray State is less a movie than it is a warning. We do not live in a dictatorship, but we do live in a police state. What we're going to see is the unveiling of this gray state foisted upon America. Americans believe that they can't do anything. And day by day, they're becoming correct. It's a game of numbers, and we're losing.
And there's something about it that just kind of gets on you and you just can't wash it off.
Credibility means nothing to me. What I care about is truth.
I don't think you're missing anything. The only thing you're missing is why.
Producer who murdered his wife and daughter before taking his own life.
But the murder-suicide a year ago was far from cut and dry. Tonight, new and disturbing details we've never heard before. Tom Lydon of the Fox 9 Investigators has been given unprecedented access, and he's here to tell us what he's learned. And Tom, some of this will be very difficult to hear.
You know, some of it will be, but I think you're going to see that it's important at this point to really get all the facts out on the table. I think that's the most important thing here. For the last year, this case has become the subject of much speculation and plenty of theories on the internet, most of it completely wrong. The reality is the truth of what happened to David Crowley and his family is stranger and sadder than anyone imagined.
45S41, I'm in the area.
To the right of the RP sees dead bodies inside the house, dog inside, sees a gun in the house on the floor.
To look at the three of them through the Instagram filter of life, it's hard to imagine how it all went so wrong. David Crowley, a talented, promising young filmmaker, his smart and beautiful wife, Kamel, a dietitian, and their adorable 5-year-old daughter, Rania. Living on a quiet street in Apple Valley, in a home that contained their many dreams, and one horrific nightmare. From the start, it was a case wrapped in suspicion and mystery.
Here's the red flags.
With paranoid theories all over the internet.
Guys out here going after the truth get knocked off.
That the Crowleys were murdered as some kind of government conspiracy.
Did the government want to silence him and his film?
All because of a personal film project David Crowley had worked on obsessively for years, called Gray State. This is a concept trailer for Gray State, which imagines the U.S. government taking away all our liberties, FEMA turning into a militarized, occupying police force.
In short, the Gray State is the culminating manifestation of the darkest trends our negligence and malignancy have to offer.
In the summer of 2014, Crowley traveled to Hollywood to meet with producers interested in Gray State. But by fall, the deal had fizzled, and the couple began withdrawing from friends and family. Kamel had told her family she was the sole breadwinner, that she was not physically or emotionally abused, but the financial struggles made her question the marriage.
He just lost his way, financially lost his way, life, stress.
When his friend Mason Hendricks stopped by to see him, it was like meeting someone he didn't know. David wouldn't even invite him in the home.
He looked like he literally was sleeping, and breathing on his computer. Failure was not an option for him.
By October, the family was essentially cut off from the world. David and Kamel stopped talking to their families, asking everyone to stay away, even changing their phone numbers. David's brother left their Christmas presents on the front step to avoid a confrontation. And there the gifts stayed for 3 weeks, until January 17th last year. Concerned neighbors discovered the 3 bodies looking in the front window. A sliding back door was found slightly ajar, apparently for the family dog. But there were no footprints in the snow, no sign of forced entry. Inside, detectives would find a scene of domestic horror and normalcy. Teasing little love notes the couple left for each other around the house, an innocent child's room. Much of the crime scene itself we will not show you. All 3 bodies were found in the living room next to each other. They were badly decomposed and scavenged by the family dog. Judging by the mail piling up and a paper in the home, the murder-suicide took place the day after Christmas. David shooting Kamel twice in the head, Rania once, before shooting himself. Between their bodies, a Quran, with pages torn out, opened to a traditional forgiveness prayer. And there on the wall, above the bodies, scrawled in blood, the words, Allah Akbar, God is the greatest. In the living room, his bloody fingerprint is on a laptop, open to a text file with only a single sentence. I have loved you all with all of my heart. In the home office, on a notepad, more bloody fingerprints, and the words, submit to Allah now.
This has nothing to do with Islam, but everything to do with a man that lost his way and ultimately killed his wife, his daughter, and then himself.
As the Crowleys became increasingly isolated last year, their family made multiple attempts to reach out and help them emotionally and financially. Family members on both sides declined to talk on camera. Quite frankly, they're afraid they'll be harassed by some of these conspiracy theorists out there. But they want me to relay one painful lesson. If you see friends or family isolating themselves, maybe struggling with depression or mental illness, do not hesitate to reach out to them and to keep on trying. Don't stop. There are resources available, and we've placed some of those numbers at fox9.com.
All right, this next trailer called Songbird. We're going to go to thesaurus.com and take a look to see what it says. So synonyms for songbird are canary, oscillin, sarin, wren, lark, pipit, and vireo. I don't see a goddamn bird in this whole trailer, so we're going to take a closer look. Examples, blah blah blah. For songbird, that doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. More synonyms. Look at the top here. Benedict Arnold, accuser, informer, finger, preacher, source, deep throat, accuser, fink, propagandist, squealer, fat mouth, advisor, herald, rat, stoolie, fork tongue, betrayer, interviewer, singer, tattler, notifier, babble mouth, journalist, snake, tattletale. Shit, the list goes on and on. So why are all these synonyms important? My belief is that the movie's called Songbird, and if you're a truth teller, journalist that speaks the truth, if you go against the mainstream media, they're going to put you in a quarantine camp. Now watch.
Good morning, Miss Garcia.
Good morning, sunshine. I miss you. I could kiss you right now.
Someday.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
A horrifying new development
New
today.
data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Hey, whoa! I'm immune! I'm immune!
Worldwide death toll rises to over 110 million.
All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps. All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps. All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps.
Sarah, what's going on?
Department of Sanitation.
Sarah, talk to me.
I think my neighbor has a fever.
It'll be so much easier if you just open the door. Mrs. Grant, you have visitors.
Sarah, please. Sarah, open that door. Sarah, do not open that door.
Beginning thermal scan. 3, 2, 1. Anomaly detected. Armed guards will be arriving in 4 to 6 hours. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight.
This is my message to you. I know you're in there.
They're coming to let you go.
No. Sarah! Sarah!
Say goodbye to me.
Sarah, I'm not letting you give up.
This is my message to you.
Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to survive.
I'm trying to save the one person left in my life that matters to me.
I can't help you. What you're talking about is illegal.
Remember, stay safe, sane, and sanitize.
In fact, the testing could have been ramped up very quickly in a few countries that have almost avoided the epidemic entirely, like Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia. You know, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, you know, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, you know, I'd say is will get attention this time. You know, I'd say is will get attention this time.
The world is now a blank page. Make your stand. Don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing's gonna be alright.
I'm scared.
Me too.
Where will we go?
Welcome to the Boulder Free Zone. Stu Redmond. Which one of you is Larry Underwood?
How do you know who I am?
How do you think?
Mother Abigail?
All I know is that we dreamed of her and she was real.
She brought us all together to keep us safe in these uncertain times.
This is my message to you. I am in the way of knowing things. I know you feel him.
Calls himself the Dark Man. Mostly I just see his wolf.
Mother Abigail told us that there are two sides to the world. There's the good, and then there's a deep well of darkness.
Early up and free. Come run on home with me. Boom.
In the world that was, they told you it was wrong, want more. Their time is at an end. Our time has begun.
There's bitter days ahead. Death and terror. The Dark Man grows stronger every day. And soon he'll destroy all who stand against him. So the world is now a blank page. And it is there. You must make your stand.
Listen, it's shocking. It's written about in the book of Revelation. Could it ever happen? The answer is, unfortunately, yes. Total population control. Bill Binney says that's what the National Security Agency wants. He should know. He was technical director of that agency and worked there for more than 30 years. He became one of their top analysts, perhaps the best code breaker in America, before he resigns because of their domestic spying programs. He's with us now from Washington. Bill, thank you so much for being with us. We're glad to see you.
Well, thanks for having me, Pat.
Look, how big is this apparatus of the NSA? We hear about it, but you know firsthand.
Well, I think there are about 40,000 people working at Fort Meade at NSA headquarters, close to 40,000. And then they have facilities all around the world, plus a number of contractors also associated with, probably on the order of 100,000, I would think, to 200,000 that work for them directly. So it's a rather large operation. I mean, it's between $10 and $15 billion a year that they spend on it ever since 9/11. So that's, you know, quite a bit of money they're investing in it.
How much data can they acquire? Is there any limit to it?
Actually, the only limit is in terms of money, power, availability, and space to stack equipment to go and collect the material.
Well, now you've said that the ultimate goal is total population control. In a democracy, that is really scary business.
It's actually a totalitarian process that's been used down through history. I mean, that's what totalitarian dictators, states. That's what they want to do. They want to know everything about the population so they can control it. That was the idea behind the Soviet Union, the East German Stasi. That was their idea, and the Gestapo and the SS, and down through history, many others.
Is our stuff more powerful than those agencies you mentioned?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. That's the real problem I see, is that the capacity is, when you're looking at electronic activity of individuals, like when you use a credit card, or when you make a phone call or email anybody on the internet, or do chatter on the internet, that can be monitored in near real time if they're necessary. Otherwise, they can capture it, collect it, store it, and then retroactively analyze it. So it's something that it provides the opportunity to monitor everybody in the country, in fact, most everybody in the world, in near real time throughout the day. And that's really a 1984 on steroids, really. This is a violation of your First Amendment rights. Under the Constitution, you have the right to assemble, free assembly, which means that it doesn't say you have the right to free assembly as long as the government knows about it, which is what's happening when the telecommunications companies turn over all their records of phone calls to and from with duration. That tells them everybody you're contacting, your whole social network on the phone, because it's a simple matter of doing a reverse lookup to see who that is that you're calling.
Oh, you quit the agency because you said what they were doing is unconstitutional. That is clearly unconstitutional, but why does the government keep on doing it?
That's the reason I've been able to, at least from what I can see in the public domain, is they're doing it for law enforcement worldwide. And actually the main users of this data are in fact the FBI and the Drug Enforcement Administration and other law enforcement agencies in the country. And they use this data to find criminal activity, and then they go arrest people based on this information. And then they have to do a parallel construction, which means they use normal policing techniques that they would be expected to use to find evidence that would justify and show probable cause for an arrest. Then they substitute that for the NSA data in the courts.
All right. When I think of this, it's just horrible. But do they give this information to the IRS?
That's the other problem. The Drug Enforcement Administration has a special unit, the Special Operations Division, the SOD, and that division is supposed to, its primary purpose is to look into the NSA data to find criminality and criminal activity. The members of that are the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, of course DEA, DHS, and the IRS. Now that means that the IRS has actually has access to all the data of the social networks of everybody in the country, because NSA builds those in the databases that they have from the billing data or the contact data that's provided by the telecommunications companies.
What about Snowden? Is he a traitor or a hero?
I looked at him as doing an absolute public service, not just to the people of this country, but to the world, because he produced evidence that's irrefutable by our government. That's the crimes against the Constitution and the laws that we had over time anyway. So that was irrefutable evidence of what they were doing, and so they cannot deny it now.
What kind of megalomaniac would want to do something like this? It's monstrous. And these guys, I mean, where does the mindset come from that devises all this stuff?
Well, that's what I objected to and why I left NSA early on back in 2001, because I saw this coming. I mean, I had worked the Soviet Union problem for almost 30 years, and it was very clear to me that in October of 2001, the NSA and the government, the U.S. government, started adopting the procedures and techniques and processes that the Soviet Union and the Stasi and all of the countries behind the Iron Curtain were using. So we were actually adopting their procedures. It was very clear to me that that was what was going on.
All right, last question. The average person doesn't have a vestige of knowledge of what you're talking about. They just trust their government. What are we going to do as citizens?
Well, you see, let me say something about that first. That's really the problem here in this country. You see, from what I see is we have not had a dictator in this country for almost since George III, for almost 240 years. So we've been very comfortable over those 240 years, at least, kind of depending on our government to do the right thing. And that's what we've all been accustomed to them doing. That is, we trust them and have trusted them for a long time. And so we don't have that knowledge of what dictators and dictatorial processes are. But if you look at it, the Germans today are the ones who are really upset about this. And the reason they're upset is because they've got living memory of the Stasi and living memory of the SS and Gestapo. So they're very familiar with these techniques and procedures, and that's why they're very upset. To me, I think the only way we can get out of this is to fire everybody in D.C. I think that's the only way to do it. You have to go out and vote. You have to get active. You can't stay quiet and let this happen. You have to stand up and oppose it.
Bill Benny, thank you so much. You're a great patriot, and keep speaking out. And we'll ask prayer for your protection, because I can't imagine they're going to let you keep on talking, but maybe they will.
Well, guys out here going after the truth get knocked off.
That the Crowleys were murdered as some kind of government conspiracy.
Well, folks, if you want to learn more about Bill Benny and the NSA, you can go to our website. There's more detail about it. And you know something, as he was talking, the Bible makes a statement in the book of Revelation that people could not buy or sell without the mark of the beast. This is huge. The gathering is in the billions and billions and billions of bits, and it is. We finally have the capacity to control every human being on the face of the earth. Oh. Clean them up! That's what he said. Throw the bombs out and let's start afresh.